going. It seems to think we're back.
We are? That's good.
I'll see.
Hello.
Are you pulling it up?
I'm trying to get to it here. There we go. Take 2.
It appears we're here. We're trying like crazy.
I think we're clearer looking on the visual.
Okay. I was looking to see if it appears we are.
Yeah, we got about a
there
20-second delay.
Yeah, I just saw that you gave us the take 2 is when I just came back into it.
Yep.
So anyway, so we were talking about political parties and history and such, but
the one thing I can say that I have a group of friends that are all spectrum of political affiliation.
Sure.
And the only thing we all can agree on is term limits, and that all the politicians right now just kind of suck. And I mean, and it's not from a, I think you got some that are really trying, but there's some that are the ones that really have control, or they're so entrenched.
Yeah.
And they're so deep in the system that it's just. My buddy made a good point. He said, he goes, after a couple terms, they're no longer working for the people in their district.
No,
they get past that.
I cite, and not to continue to beat him up, but Senator Lugar at some point did not even own property in Indiana, but represented Indiana.
Yeah, really, wow.
So you're in Washington. I think he had a hotel room in Indy, maybe, but it just, you're supposed to represent people, and I just don't know how you can do that if you're not actually back within the people. I think they spend too much time in Washington. They obviously aren't getting much done. Maybe if they got away from each other, they could work together more.
Maybe
they spend too much time with each other.
Hey,
if you have kids and you're kind of cooped up in the car for a long trip,
sometimes
you have a little trouble. You need a little time apart.
You can cool down a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to put them in a timeout. We're going to put them on opposite ends of the country.
I think we're going to be racing a storm.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. I was sitting here looking out, and it's really, really, really getting dark over there.
It's gotten dark quickly over there, but we do have lights. It's nice, nicely lit right here.
The sun's not setting yet.
Right. It's though we are about sunset time now.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I'm having trouble adjusting. I was telling my wife when we were driving back from Lafayette or someplace, Lafayette the other day.
Mm-hmm.
We went from sunset at 8 to like sunset at 6:45. It was like, and the sun was like way to the north, and now it's south.
Yeah.
When we were driving back across 8, it was like right in my eyes, right as it was setting, but it set in a heartbeat. I was like, wow, that was quick. Didn't even really get to enjoy it. But it's like we're full on in fall now.
Yeah, we are.
Oktoberfest is out. We're officially in fall.
I gotta say, I'm loving the cooler weather though, just a little bit. I like the 70s is my weather.
The humidity threw me off this morning. Wasn't ready for that.
The rain, it was raining. It was coming down pretty hard when I got up.
Pretty rainy.
I just saw lightning out there. So
we're gonna be close.
We're gonna work here until it starts to rain, and then we're gonna stop.
Yeah, we are not the post
or
office.
Until 7 o'clock, whatever comes first.
Yeah. A couple of things as we talked about. You were going to talk about a funny little thing that this is one of those things like, does our court really not have anything better to do?
Yeah,
but it's a huge
thing. A big issue. I'm kind of surprised that they came down the way they did. So up here in northern Indiana especially, it's a big deal.
Yep.
And this has to do with the railroads and blocking intersections. There's been a statute on the books for a while that they're not allowed to block an intersection for more than 10 minutes.
Or they'd be fined.
Or they'll be fined.
They could still block it.
It's like a couple $100 bucks.
They'd be fined. Yeah.
They're a couple $100 per violation. So, I mean, if they have a long train and they could be blocking
you think about
3 or 4
Valparaiso,
different,
you could easily block.
You could
6
block
streets.
the whole town.
Yeah.
And you get a fine for each one or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what. Well, that just got struck down by the Indiana Supreme Court. So no longer is there a fine for blocking it for an hour. Now, the interesting thing is, I'm interested to see what happens as far as how many times they block now. Like, now that's like it's unleashed. Are they going to take advantage of it and just start blocking up ways?
I think there's just places where it's a particularly bad issue where you have switching, and again, where you go closer to Chicago and all the trains pinch.
Oh yeah, it gets
there's
terrible.
Like 20 tracks in a row over there by Hammond.
You gotta. Well, and they build over a lot of that.
Yeah,
so,
right, in that one.
And that's
but there are still spots along that street, like when you're going down 20.
Right.
That railroad crosses, or there's railroads crossing 20.
Oh yeah.
Multiple times.
Over in Goshen.
Yeah.
That's kind of over in the Elkhart Goshen area is where I'm originally from.
Yeah.
You get a lot of block trains, and they'll sit there, and that's where they get a lot of penalties because they're like a staging area or something.
Yep.
And so, my thought here is, number one, my tip for the week for everybody: kind of mentally plan the way around a stuck train.
Right.
Like if you know, like here in Valpo, we can go down to Campbell, I think Campbell, and pop over the train because the road goes up over the top of it.
Yeah, but your options are Campbell or 49.
That's really your options.
That's about it.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's only for the NNW, the north one. There's one south that you can. Well, I guess you go under the train bridge.
Yeah, you can go under that, but there's some that it's just difficult.
Yeah.
So depending where you're at, you might just have to wait.
Bring a book.
Yeah.
Or a book on computer or whatever.
So
that's
got bugs popping around here.
Suddenly popping around.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing the lightning and I'm seeing it's starting to.
It's close.
It's got.
I don't hear it yet though.
No, but there's a storm coming.
It's a coming.
Yeah. So that was the interesting thing that just kind of popped up on the radar, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
When I was in Lafayette, because Lafayette had a number of crossing spots, and there was a big railroad relocation thing that built a corridor where most of the railroads went. But there were two places where they ran right down the middle of the street in Lafayette, so they've done away with that. But one of the things that Lafayette tried to do when I was living down there was exercise a noise ordinance to stop trains from blowing their whistles at all hours of the night and at every possible intersection.
Yeah.
I think, and we have a great example of that right by our house.
Yeah.
The train that comes under Campbell, and then you have Napoleon, Lafayette, Washington, Franklin, a short
Calumet
break, and then you've got Calumet. And I was talking to somebody who's doing research on this. They have to try to somehow squeeze in 3 whistles between each of those intersections. And there's no way you couldn't hear the whistle. If I'm sitting at Franklin, I would have heard it at Washington and at Lafayette, or coming the other way, either way. So and that's just one railroad track. We have a railroad track north. We have the second railroad track just a little further south of us where we are now, down south by campus. But there's got to be some way to mitigate that.
The downside is if they stop blowing the horn coming through town, then there's accidents, then they get blamed for that. So, I mean, you got to, at some point, there's got to be a balance there. That's looking raw, man.
Yeah, that is.
I almost thought, I'm going to turn the camera. I'm going to turn the camera and see if you can all see this because it looks
I'm going to turn into junior meteorologist here.
Right.
There is a pretty substantial storm.
Can I see it on there at all?
Hold it there for a second, and let's see if we can catch some of the lightning. There's a lot. Oh yeah, there's some.
There you go.
Yeah. Yep.
It's looking.
It's getting
pretty
dark over there.
Is that okay? Camera angle?
Yeah, it should be all right. I will say, you lean into it.
I will say it looks a lot darker in real life than it does on the screen that I just saw. It looked really bright on screen.
Sort of the iris opened up a little bit.
Yeah, it brightens up.
There's a pretty good chance of some severe storms moving into our area. I was looking at some different Twitter weather forecasters popping up earlier today.
Oh yeah.
Between 8 and midnight, which I believe I was looking at somebody from South Bend, so that'd be about 7 and 11.
That's about accurate.
Yeah.
I have some of the buddies I was saying about. They're down by Kentucky.
Yeah.
And down by Louisville, and there's a concert coming up next week, and they got canceled. Louder Than Life. Big bash. I mean, a whole 3 days.
Wow.
And just because the flooding is so bad. And they were going to try to bring in 1,000 or 1,000,000 pounds of mulch and try to see if they could do with that. And it was just not going to happen. Yeah. So they ended up canceling it. And it's shocking. So there was one last week or the week before they got canceled too. It's just Champions Park down there got flooded and just miserable.
Bummer.
But anyway, so trains, planes, anything with planes? We can do trains, planes, and automobiles.
Automobiles. Yeah, I've got
for the old throwback movie.
I've got it's coming up in October. I still haven't adjusted to thinking mentally about my license plates are now mid-October. I was always a September person.
How did that switch?
They spread out the alphabet differently. So
is that what they did?
October now. It's a few years back, but
I'm June. I've just always been in June. I don't know that I ever got.
We were all packed in. There's lots of R's and S's and T's. Yeah. So the one thing we did want to mention. So this is our last weekly episode of Tips from the Bar, starting in October, which frighteningly is next week.
So fast.
We're going to twice a month, first and third Tuesday of each month.
Yeah, next Tuesday will actually be the first. So we'll still have another. We'll be right on next week again.
Correct.
But then it'll start going every other week.
Yeah, shuffle
first and third.
And
with
then,
the occasional fourth if we have a
fifth
seminar release or something like that. If we're doing like a webinar or something of that nature where we're going to release it and put it out live, that's when we'll do that. We'll be on the fourth week.
There's a part of me that wants to sit here as the storm rolls in It would have been a cool
Well, it's
storm
kind of
to see
it's
come
kind of
off the
it's
lake.
kind of oozing over that way
Yeah.
now. It's actually all the way over this way.
It's I can't not see it now.
No, and it's kind of surprisingly we're not getting rained on already by the looks
seems
of
like
it.
it. It
But
would have been a cool storm to see come across the lake. But
oh yeah.
but the other thing that's coming up, and we're working on details. When I say we, I opted out of a meeting earlier this week. When I say earlier, it was this week. It'd be yesterday.
Monday.
This has been a long
It's
week
Tuesday.
already.
I will tell you, it feels like Thursday solid.
does.
At least solid.
It does. So, but what's our official name for our event in November? Isaac.
Isaac is.
If he's still paying attention,
I think he's
homework.
out, but we will dish out. I want to launch the next week. We'll start October because it's going to be the actual seminar is going to be the early November.
Yeah.
So that'll
November
be the
2nd.
launch of the marketing on it will be next week.
Okay.
And so we'll hold off on that, but we're working on some additional marketing things yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's a business seminar for people that want to start a business, and they're ready to go. You're like,
You
know
will
what? I've got
literally
the
start
idea.
a business
You
while
will
you're
start a
there.
business. Absolutely. You will literally start a business while you're there. Lots of good information, lots of
Speakers on,
education, a lot of
super
action-oriented
helpful. Yeah.
stuff that you're going to take advantage of right then and there, and tools that you can take with you to help you get you through that first year to 2 year periods and really do
really
it right.
excited about it. The group of people we're bringing in is not just a bunch of attorneys talking at you.
No, we got all
it'll be
kinds of insurance.
good variety, and talk about insurance, housing
Accounting.
wise, and what kinds, and things of that nature, and planning. Again, literally starting your business online, or with the state, making sure your name can register and getting it set up and such. So we're excited about that. It's one of the beginning of a series of education type things that we're going to be doing to help people. Again, we're not just, we all come from backgrounds. We all have been in business in different ways, and we know we deal with a lot of businesses. And one of the things we want to do is help provide some of this information that we've learned from and with our other clients to help people get started as strong as they can in business.
And this one will be the 101 version. Then we're going to have another class, which will be the 201. That'll be in the spring.
Yeah.
And so, and what we will continue,
our plans to have sort of almost a certification.
Right.
Like
Almost
a series
like
that'll help you get to a spot where it's
self-education.
It's not just us talking at you. There'll be opportunities for you to be engaged and ask questions about your business specifically. But you're going to walk away with information, binders, stuff filled out, the action plans and things. So we're
tools
really
you can use. You're going to have tools you can use to really get it running. There's a lot of different aspects to a business, and we're going to try to hit a lot of the stuff that normally gets overlooked. Yeah. Some of the stuff that people like, I know I need to do this, I know I need to do that. But then there's also parts of it that are going to be, wow, I didn't really think about that. You might not have been aware that you might have started a business before and it didn't work out, and now you're like, I'm ready to do this again, but I want to make sure I don't make the same mistakes, and that's what this is really about.
Right. Yeah. So that's coming up in November. We'll talk more about it starting next week. We don't have a place where we're going to be other than being on Facebook. We know we'll be on Facebook.
We will.
Tuesday evening at 6:30. I think we are going to start buttoning it up. It is getting very dark.
I think it's very kind of like this is the warning. Like, okay, you've pushed it as far as you can.
Yep.
The rain's not coming yet, but before I just shuck your skin with lightning.
Right. Exactly. And we're sitting in metal chairs on metal tables with metal rods above us. So
yeah, we're kind of magnet, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh, we got the building next to us. They'll hit the building first, hopefully.
I hope.
Hopefully.
That arch out there, maybe. The telephone pole.
The
telephone cellular
there's
tower.
the light there. There's a cell tower over there. Maybe that. I don't know.
Go there first. So.
Anyway, check us out at ccsklaw.com. Email us any questions you might have.
Yep.
We'll be happy
to
to
talk
talk
to you.
to you.
People come through in the last week, and hopefully we've had a chance to help folks to move down the road. I know Isaac's had a couple of calls this week, almost the exact same situation.
It's so wild.
I heard him have these phone calls. I thought he was having I thought he was talking to the same person. It's an entirely different. It's a property construction dispute.
Yeah, it's wild.
Somebody not building the house out in a timely fashion, and it's again, I think sometimes people don't know how to engage an attorney to protect your interests.
Just call and ask. It's really that simple. We're not gonna again, if you're afraid of, I don't know, I'm gonna get charged a whole lot. Just call us. We'll talk to you.
Yeah, we'll get it started. Better to exercise your rights than let somebody else trample them.
Exactly.
So anyway, have a great evening. We're gonna go dodge
the rain here for a minute.
Big storm and lightning rod, or lightning. Hopefully not be a lightning rod.
Hopefully not.
CCSKLaw.com. Thanks for joining us tonight.
See you guys next week.
Oh, I'm on the wrong page. I can't figure out how to get out of this.
That's all right. I think we just take everything in and we'll put it